Tamar, if you remember in Genesis, is the daughter-in-law of Judah. Judah is one of the 12 sons of Israel, or Jacob. And after being widowed twice, both husbands ended up dying. Tamar ends up disguising herself as a prostitute to guarantee her place in the family line, and she ends up having children by her father-in-law, Judah. She takes some bold, risky actions that were used by God to continue that family line of Judah. God uses that. And so the application for us as we look at Tamar, this Canaanite widow / prostitute for a period of time, we learn that God's purposes can be accomplished through very unexpected and unconventional means. And very often that's what it looks like through our own lives. You look at the genealogy of Jesus, you say, why did God use a Canaanite widow who ended up presenting herself as a prostitute who slept with her father-in-law? Sounds a lot like Lot and his 2 daughters, who got him drunk in order to be able to sleep with him and preserve their legacy and preserve his name. So in our own lives, we should be thinking, in what ways have I seen God work through very unexpected and unconventional means? You would not expect God to work with someone like Tamar to be a part of his son's, genealogy. You would assume he's going to keep that line pure, a pure-blooded Israelite, but that's just not the case. The second woman to pay attention to is Rahab. Rahab is a Canaanite prostitute who helped the Israelite spies in Jericho during the conquest of Joshua. She hid the spies and helped them escape, and in return, she and her family were spared when Jericho ended up falling, right? So she's a Gentile prostitute that demonstrated faith in God and became part of the lineage of Jesus. Now, I've heard some, I forget what the evidence is for this, but I've heard some say that Rahab wasn't a prostitute, she was something else. Either way, her story proves that faith is what matters most. Not her reputation, not her heritage, not her ethnicity. And here's the application for us, is that God can redeem and forgive anyone, regardless of their past. God's kingdom is open to anyone who has faith, and God can use everyone along with their past. And sometimes what we think of when we look at the way God is working in our lives is that God won't involve my past. That's something to scrap and disregard as if it never happened. And yes, God completely deals with your sin to never remember it again. But everything up to even everything past the point of Jesus and coming to faith, but everything up to that point as well, God uses and works for good. He uses it in his plan for your life.